we hadn't had well, when we open up, and I'll explain, Mr. Chairman, we'll do that. We're working off this agenda that says third posting, third time's a charm tonight.
Everybody ready?
Yep.
All set. Okay, I call this meeting to order. It's a meeting of the Board of Selectmen dated Friday, November 4th, 2016, at 4 p.m. here at the Town Hall Annex, 68 Stevens Road. This is an amended agenda, the third posting. This meeting will not be recorded by Swansea Public Access. Will anybody else be recording the meeting?
I will be recording, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Higgins, please don't disturb the meeting. There will be a need for an executive session. Item 5 is an executive session. I'll read the citation when we get to item 5. We will be returning to open session for item number 6. With that said, Mr. McAuliffe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we had last met, a couple items came up. Actually, just today was one, which was a reappointment of Cultural Council. There was going to be an overlap on what is an important annual meeting, and one of the current members, Kimberly O'Donoghue, would like to be reappointed. So we amended the agenda today to include that change. That's the first reason.
So she's currently a member.
She's an existing member. Her term would lapse, so she's reappointed. She can attend the annual meeting, which will occur between now and our next meeting, so there wouldn't have been ample time to get Ms. O'Donoghue back.
Yeah, because look at it, is that correct on the agenda where the term expires 10/10?
Yeah, that's what Janet told me.
So the term expired and we just reappointed her for
Correct.
the next 3-year term. In addition to that, we have the ratification of the memorandum of agreement for the clerical
The
unit.
clerical unit met yesterday, and they ratified the memorandum of agreement that we've been working on for some time. No changes since we last discussed it, so that's ready for the board's ratification. So that would be a vote, and that is in your packet.
Credit to them because that's been a little bit of a haul. Gentlemen, I didn't want to be late with the meeting. I know it's Friday at 4 o'clock, but I didn't think that those two items were going to take much time. So it's worthwhile. Man, it must be a slow press thing. We got all the animals. Anything else? Anything else before we get going?
Those two items, Mr. Chairman, and then I'll discuss the potential filling of highway superintendent engineering services slot. When we get to that, if that works, Mr. Chairman?
So we are operating off the amended agenda for the third posting.
Correct.
First item number 1, the reappointment to the Cultural Council, Kimberly O'Donoghue of 95 Circuit Drive, term expires 10/10/19. This is a communication from Deborah Fiore requesting that Kimberly O'Donoghue gets reappointed. I don't have any objection to that. Ms. Vice Chairman?
No objections, Mr. Chairman.
Not from this position.
Again, motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to appoint Kimberly O'Donoghue of 95 Circuit Avenue to the appointment of a 3-year term to the Cultural Council.
Second.
Term to expire 10/10/19.
Term to expire 10/10/19.
Circuit Drive. Okay, the motion's been made, has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item number 2, ratification memorandum of agreement for the clerical unit. This is huge, Mr. McAuliffe. With the highway, and now we have clerical. The only outstanding collective bargaining discussion is the police, right?
Police, that's true, Mr. Chairman. Highway settled, I think, at our last meeting or the meeting
Yeah,
before.
and,
Clerical settled yesterday.
I would expect that they would also appreciate our expediency in approving or ratifying the agreement, and I'd like to, send that thought from the board to the members of the collective bargaining agreement, because, I give them credit for moving things along.
Well, it was your thought today to move forward and amend the agenda so we could include that.
Absolutely.
So they're anxious to
Yeah.
start their new contract,
Sure.
terms and conditions?
So nothing different than we had previously agreed to.
Correct.
With that said, any discussion, gentlemen, Mr. Vice Chairman?
No discussion.
No
discussion.
Entertain a motion to ratify.
Mr. Chairman, I move to ratify the new contract for a memorandum of agreement with the clerical union as proposed herein.
For the period of July 1st, 2016 to June 30th, 2019.
Second?
So there has been a motion, has been seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Please convey that from the board to the, who's doing the negotiating? Is that Jennifer Howard?
It was Jennifer Howard and Stephanie from the treasurer collector's office. They were the mainstay. We had Celeste one occasion, we had I think Nadine one occasion, we had Lisa from the treasurer's office, but mainly Jen and Stephanie.
Sometimes these things are difficult, but what was your thoughts on the process? Relatively
They
well.
were very, I have to give Ashby credit and Mr. Tavera, Scott Tavera credit, very organized. They came in early on with written proposals and stuck to their original list, and
Got it done.
the economic times have gotten a little bit better, but we need to be very conservative with our municipal budget, that's what keeps us out of trouble. So, they bargained hard and fair, and I think we did the same. Nice to reach a successor agreement. Nice to put it to bed.
And there would be an original in the
There
package.
should be two in there.
Do we need
At
more than two?
least, no, that was suffice.
Very good. Moving right along, this is item number 3, a discussion of filling the highway superintendent and director of engineering position. Now, Mr. McCall, we had directed you for an expeditious process, so this process has been modified from the processes that we have taken before, one of which was turning the selection committee into the Board of Selectmen.
Correct. So there's been a couple of wrinkles, Mr. Chairman, I think actually mainly for the good, so let me, if I could give the board an update. So, Mr. Corvi left town service in August, and was offered a position with the State Department of Transportation for Rhode Island, and he had had a good number of years of service in the Rhode Island system, so I'm sure that was an attractive offer. I hadn't kept in touch with Mr. Corvi very much, I think maybe, one hello since he left. But as someone that really earned the respect of all of his peers and colleagues, there were those that did keep in touch with him, and apparently, I don't wanna misspeak, but apparently that became really kind of a change to the desk type of position, and Mr. Corby likes being out in the field, so I thought I would take the occasion to speak with Mr. Corby and see if there'd be any interest in his return. Mr. Corby has shown an interest, I'm thrilled to report to the board. We can discuss his terms if it gets to that point. As part of your request also, Mr. Chairman, I expedited the review, and I'm happy to give you an overview of the candidates. I've got a sheet. I wouldn't release the names tonight, but it would be public record, and someone could go through that process and seek this information in a public record format. But I will tell you, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
12 was my count.
yeah, we got to 11 if we count an individual that literally just wrote something that essentially said, I want a job. So I don't know that that's a valuable
I counted it.
submittal.
I couldn't believe it myself. As a matter of fact, in going through these things today, I was a little surprised at the content of some of these submittals.
I couldn't agree more. I think what happened is, people don't necessarily know how that position ended up being vacant twice in a one-year format. And I think, speaking as someone that's been in the public sector for a while, if you see the same position twice in a year, you think, someone made it happen.
Something's wrong in Swansea.
So we
Which
had
it is
some.
not.
We
Model
had,
community.
it's so good, people may be interested in returning. So we have some solid people in terms of, character, I'm certain. We have not seen a solid submittal in terms of Massachusetts DPW experience, or Massachusetts management experience, or DPW experience. So there's a spreadsheet in your packet that was put together to kind of review this. Of new submittals, Mr. Chairman, there are no submittals that we've received that any of those candidates would hold a PE, the professional engineering licensure. There are no candidates that have that. And I'm not trying to do tit for tat, but Mr. Corby does.
And in the solicitation, it said preferred, right?
It did.
Right.
So, there were no PEs, I believe so, I wanna check now. But
I didn't
there were
see
no
any.
submittals that had a PE, which was pretty common when you see Director of Highway and Engineering Services. If the PE credential was there, it would have stuck out on this occasion because there were no submittals that had the PE. There were 6 new candidates that have an engineering degree. Only 2 of those candidates have any Massachusetts experience. One of those candidates has a combined year of service in Massachusetts of 9 years. I would tell you a very quick background check on one of those candidates led to just some peculiarities with the background. There was a background issue with another community where this individual didn't make it through a vetting process, and I don't think it was anything that would necessarily be a career-ending injury, but it just looked like there was some peculiarities. So there was one person that had the most experience that, again, there seems to be some peculiarities. And the next, other than Mr. Corvi, the then next most qualified person had 3 years' experience. Beyond that, there were, I guess, 3 or 4 people that had a strong water background, which I thought was interesting because you don't see that often either, and some people with a planning background.
No, it would be applicable to the job offer.
It's not a transition that would be easily made. So long story short, you've got 2 people that would be, really 1, possibly 2 other people that reach Mr. Corey's experience. None of them reach his licensure level of having the professional engineering stamp, both in Massachusetts and in Rhode Island. So I would be very comfortable if the board wants to consider that we would reach out to Mr. Corvi and we could see where his thoughts are. He has shown some interest in a kind of informal way, and it would be thrilled to have Mr. Corvi return. I think certainly Colleen would agree. I don't know if it's too enthusiastic thumbs up, let the record show. Actually, I'm keeping the record. I'll have to write that down. I don't know that you meet a lot of people, your colleagues, your laborers, your clerical crew, your board of selectmen, your citizens. I mean, he really checked off every box with being
Alan was
really
very thorough and
just superb
I love working with him.
fit with our community. He really fit like a glove from day one. So that's my recommendation for
That's your recommendation?
put an offer on the table for Mr. Corey. We could discuss in executive session.
Well, I went through these applications and I'm really surprised. I'm just shocked at some of these people that apply for that job because that's administration of the department. You know, some of these people, what they put forth is I flushed 850 miles of water main, or I was a pool manager, or I'm a salesman at lawn care products. I mean,
Yeah, there's only 2 candidates with any DPW experience beyond Mr. Corvi, not beyond his years. Other than Mr. Corvi, there's only 2 other candidates. Again, 1 9 years, 1 3 years, and Mr. Corvi's greatly exceeds that. And then if you introduce the PE stamp, that brings a lot of value in what we do. Some of our projects, it brings a lot of value to have that
well, there's no question
stamp. So
about it. And I don't really think, by comparison to what has been submitted here, that he really doesn't have any competition from what's submitted here. In my mind, he's certainly the highest and best qualified candidate from the submittals that we received. And I'd like to point out that this is really an expeditious process because the solicitation period closed at 4 p.m. today. That's why I was a couple of minutes late. I wanted to make sure that no other submittals had been received. So with that said, we have a recommendation from the town administrator. Everybody's had the opportunity to review the submittals. So discussion, gentlemen, and Vice Chairman?
Well, I think I agree with everything that you said and Mr. McAuliffe has said about Mr. Corvi. It seems like based on everyone who has submitted resumes and letters of intent, you know, Mr. Corvi really stands out, and I think he obviously has an edge up because we didn't just get a test drive with Mr. Corvi, we got an extended test drive, and I liked it a lot. I think the community liked Mr. Corvi. I had not one complaint from a department head or a highway department worker. He didn't butt heads with anyone. And in this business, you come across that every now and then, and it's hard not to sometimes. I mean, there's disagreements, but Mr. Corvi really was apolitical, and he got things done. And I think you can name a few projects. He worked on several projects while he was here, and every project that he touched, he did an excellent job with, and there hasn't been any issues with. So it's hard for me to stick my neck out and choose somebody else over Mr. Corvi. At this point, he seems like the obvious choice.
And you can hit the ground running.
I like that the most,
All
too.
we have to do is give him the traverse back.
Yeah. Nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Ms. Knight?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, it's pretty clear to me, based on the submittals that we have, that the qualifications of Mr. Corby clearly outweigh the other candidates. I wouldn't see any reason why not to consider him in this position. It's clearly, has been indicated by, fellow coworkers, members of the community, and others that, his reputation here obviously stands for itself. The other thing that I've always kind of, since in the short period that I've known Mr. Corby, and I share this with employees all the time, but you can't teach work ethic, and that's one thing that it's been pretty clear that he has. So I would concur with all